In the dark, deep underground, a single gloved hand punches up through the last inch of concrete and breaks into the floor of a bank vault. Above that hand sat one of the largest piles of cash in the country. Below it ran a tunnel that should not have been possible. This is the story of the men who dug their way into Brazil's central bank. In the summer of 2005, in the city of Fortaleza, in the northeast of Brazil, their target was the Banco Central, the bank that guards the nation's money. Inside its vault sat mountains of used banknotes, old and worn, untraceable and uninsured. The kind of money that leaves no trail at all. But the vault was buried under steel and concrete, watched by sensors, sealed like a fortress. You could not blow the door, you could not pick it, you could not walk in. So the gang decided they would come up from underneath, through the ground itself. First, they needed a way to hide months of digging in plain sight. So they rented a small house about 200 meters from the bank. And they opened a business, a landscaping company selling grass and artificial lawns. It was the perfect cover. Trucks hauled soil away and no one thought a thing of it. Because no one knew that all that soil was coming from directly under the street. Inside the house, they opened a hole in the floor and began to dig down into the earth. This was not a rough hole scratched in the dirt. This was engineering. The tunnel was squared off and lined with wood to stop it from collapsing. They strung electric lights along its length so they could see as they worked. As it came out later, they even ran air conditioning down into the tunnel. Because a man cannot dig for months in the heat and the dark without air. Day after day, they crawled in and carved out the earth by hand. And every bucket of soil was carried back up and out through the fake garden business. It had to run in a straight, hidden line deep beneath 2 whole city blocks. They navigated blind, underground, aiming for a target they could not see. Above them, traffic rolled by and the bank opened and closed and no one felt them below. By most accounts, the digging went on for around 3 months. Until the tunnel stretched roughly 78 meters, over 250 feet. A long, lit, air-cooled passage ending in solid darkness. And at that final wall of earth, they stopped and looked up. Because directly above them now was the floor of the vault. They had timed it for a weekend when the bank would be closed and empty. No staff, no customers, no one to hear what came next. Between them and the money lay more than a meter of steel-reinforced concrete. So at the top of the tunnel, they began to break upward, through the floor, grinding and chipping through concrete and steel hour after hour. As reported, they knew exactly where the sensors were and how to slip past them. And then the concrete gave way, and a hole opened into the vault above. A gloved hand reached up through the broken floor into the room full of money. They climbed up, out of the earth, and stood inside the heart of the bank. Around them, stacked and banded, sat the used banknotes, millions upon millions. Tall bundles of worn bills, each stack about the height of a hand. They loaded the cash into sacks, working fast through the silent weekend. By the time they were done, they had taken around 164 million reais. About $70 million as reported, one of the biggest hauls in history. Then they crawled back through their tunnel one final time and were gone. When the bank reopened after the weekend, everything looked normal. The heavy vault door was still locked, the seals were untouched. It was only inside that they found the truth. A jagged hole in the vault floor, opening down into blackness. And beneath it, a long empty tunnel, still lit, still cool, running away under the city. The money was simply gone. Tens of millions vanished through the ground. The country was stunned. How do you rob a central bank from below? Investigators traced the tunnel back to the little house with the garden business. But the men and the money had disappeared into the city. A huge hunt began. Slowly, some of the gang were tracked down and arrested. As reported, a few were caught and small amounts of the cash surfaced. But most of the 70 million was never recovered. It had melted away into untraceable bills, spread across a whole country. Some of those involved were never identified at all, faceless, anonymous. They spent 3 months digging in the dark and walked away with the nation's cash and their names never fully known. That is crooked genius.